is going on, New York Giant fans? Welcome back to another Big Blue in the Bronx YouTube channel video. Please hit that like button, comment, subscribe, turn on the notification bell so you know when a live stream possibly drops. Share this out, do all the good stuff. 5 stars on Apple Podcasts. Appreciate y'all coming back. We are on the road to number 1K subscribers. We're trying to hit that by March 31st, which is opening day for baseball, or at least it's March 30th. But around that time, we're trying to have that goal of 1,000 subscribers and then get into memberships, all these sort of different things. And I appreciate every one of the subscribers that has stayed along for the ride or has watched content and has been along with us at some point. So it's been a great journey thus far. The YouTube channel will be turning 3 in April, I believe. So it's going to be an interesting one. But back to the point of the video. I did a Daniel Jones video before, and it was talking about a lot of different things, how basically the New York Giants cannot go half pregnant into Daniel Jones, whether it's, re-signing him or whether it's, they got to pick a direction. That goes with quarterback, that goes with franchise as well, because there are a lot of other free agents that the New York Giants have to re-sign, make decisions on, and, Daniel Jones is going to be part of that either way because, well, if you re-sign him, either way it's going to be a lot of money. If you don't re-sign him, maybe you tag him, it's less money, but once again, there's other free agents incorporated. This is not going to be a video that's like, oh, it's clickbait, it's this, that, and the other thing as well. This video is going to be called 4 Options for the New York Giants if a Daniel Jones deal does not get done. And in these options, I'm going to break it down, but also two each, two directions. So, for instance, 1 and 2 will be a part of the immediate winning status. 3 and 4 will be a few years away. And we'll get to that. Like, comment, subscribe, do all the good stuff. Let's go into it. So, just to headline things. Per Connor Hughes of SNY, Daniel Jones' price tag is going to be about $35 to $37 million annually. If you want my honest opinion, and I've been very middle of the argument with Daniel Jones, I don't think he's worth that at all. I don't think so. Now, 35 is like the most I'll go, and that's because the quarterback market is very high with salaries annually. You got this guy with 40, this guy with 45. I mentioned in the last Daniel Jones video a lot of the names that are on that list. I think Kirk Cousins is getting 35, and Daniel Jones is almost right up there with Kirk Cousins' playing level. Now, obviously, the Giants can say, okay, just because they jumped off the cliff with Kirk Cousins doesn't mean we have to do with Daniel Jones. But I still don't think Daniel Jones is at that part that he's earning that much because, you could say, okay, well, he led the team to the playoffs. He carried Isaiah Hodgins, Richie James, he uplifted them, even though some people will disagree with that. And you have to be even-sided with the argument. At the end of the day, this is the first season he's really stayed healthy. And that came with, some sprinkled in injuries. And, you had his rookie year where he was the most productive. This year he was very productive, but at the same time, he only had, I think, 15 touchdowns. He did have a couple of rushing touchdowns, which obviously is a good asset in today's NFL game. But at the same time, those are not rocking numbers. Those are not $35 million numbers. And that's why I could see where, people are kind of jumping off the Daniel Jones train in terms of that. Now, I will say this before we go into the steps, really like the choices. I don't know if I would believe Joe Schoen in everything he says. Obviously, a few months ago, we know that, he said we weren't going to trade Kadarius Toney. Then he trades him. Obviously, in my opinion, that was because Chris Pettit was the rat in the building along with the other guy that got fired. But he was not very, I would say, excited about Saquon. He didn't pump him up too much in the post-season press conference. Not postseason as in like playoff press conference, but as in like the after the season press conference. He basically built Daniel Jones up a little bit, and he still says it's imminent to re-sign Daniel Jones. But at the same time, reports are saying that Saquon has had discussions with the Giants. Daniel Jones has not. So, as I said, there might be some smoke screens, lip service going on. Just keep your eyes ahead and level-headed, really, because, Joe Schoen could be lying, the reporters could be lying, this could be smoke screens, whatever. So, let's let's get right into it. Number one is the franchise tag, and I think that's going to be number one on everybody's mind. And you could also say this is a few years away type of move for the New York Giants, but a franchise tag really, I would say it's a placeholder. It's a placeholder. That's putting it as simple as possible. It's a placeholder. And then they have, the set market number for, annual pay for certain guys, certain positions. This year, the quarterback franchise tag is projected to be about $32.4 million. I'd be willing to pay that to an extent. But as I said, the franchise tag is a placeholder, and it's not necessarily a guarantee that your guy is going to sign long term. We've seen different guys on the franchise tag not play the next season for the same team. We've seen guys hold out. I don't think Daniel Jones will be that guy to hold out, but at the same time, he's requesting $35 to $37 million a year per Connor Hughes, so that's a little suspicious. I also think, once again, going back to my first argument, he is kind of a team guy, and I think he'd piss the team off really badly if he were to do such a thing because, hey, listen, he's only had about one season of consistent production without all the turnovers and stuff like that. So the franchise tag is the number one option. It's a placeholder. Doesn't mean you'll get the deal done. I think there's a deadline for long-term deals, and, basically, if you get a long-term deal done within a certain amount of time and that player's on the franchise tag, you can take the franchise tag off and then put the extension on. That's what happened with Leonard Williams a few years ago with the New York Giants. They franchise tagged him again and then re-signed him, so there's that. Number two, trade or sign a free agent quarterback. This class is okay with quarterbacks. It's not like you have a ton of stars in the market. Lamar Jackson's a free agent. I think personally he's going back to the Ravens because he will have a choice in that OC vacancy search, whatever you want to call it. I know Bieniemy is supposed to be a hot candidate over there. The guy who called plays for him at Louisville apparently is supposed to be a hot commodity over there as well. You have Derek Carr, who's very, very open about being traded. He went to visit the Saints. I think the Jets could possibly be next on the list. But at the same time, how much better is Derek Carr than Daniel Jones? Aaron Rodgers, who's towards the end of his career, obviously there's a lot of drama involved with him. Towards the end of his career, as I mentioned, and you don't know when he's going to piss people off. You don't even know when you're going to get him because the Giants, for whatever reason, and let's just say this specific scenario, they say, okay, we're going to be going after Aaron Rodgers, right? What if they have to wait till the summer and he says, you know what, I'm going to stay in Green Bay? Then you're fucked. So Aaron Rodgers on that list. You get to the mid-level. Geno Smith had 30 touchdowns this year for the Seahawks. They're probably going to re-sign him. They really don't want to franchise tag him. So he's an option. I don't know how much he's commanding, but listen, the quarterback market is between 30 and 40, even 50 at some points. Jimmy Garoppolo, he gets way too injured, and he's mid. Was in a perfect system over there in San Francisco. Ryan Tannehill, he's dropped off injury, and I think Tennessee is just done with him. Taylor Heineke is another free agent. He led Washington to a couple of wins last season. And with that being said, he's also very mid at the same time. Really couldn't lift up his team to a playoff appearance. Again, he did that in 2020, not 2022. Daniel Jones did that this year and not 2020. So signing a free agent quarterback also means, okay, we want to win now. We want to keep building through the draft, but we want to win now. And there's a lot of ramifications, positive and negative, if you go after these guys. Obviously, you're getting a proven commodity in some circumstances. Lamar Jackson, we know who he is. Derek Carr, we know who he is. Aaron Rodgers, I mean, he's tailing off a little bit, but maybe with better weapons, you could, go get him some guys. I'm not really entertaining it, but a lot of things you have to keep in mind is a loss of cap space because the Giants are expected to begin with around $44 million and then move up, cutting Galladay, restructuring Leo, maybe extending Adoree Jackson through restructure or whatever the case may be in terms of that. So you're going to have a lot of cap taken away, or if you go out, trade for a Carr, trade for a Rodgers, whatever, you're going to be giving up draft assets, and that's going to take up your salary either way. So it's an interesting situation. I think the Giants obviously have to make a decision on their quarterback, their direction. It's going to be one of the most important decisions in the last few years for the New York Giants. So the first one under immediate winning status is franchise tag. The second one, trade or sign a free agent quarterback. Few years away is draft a quarterback. Now, the Giants are not in immediate position necessarily to go out there and, get their own guy, draft a quarterback. In terms of pick, we pick at 25 this year or 23. I'm pretty sure it's 25. And that's not really a spot. You probably have to get a developmental guy. Even then, it's a reach for some guys like Hendon Hooker. I like him personally a little bit. I haven't watched a ton of film on him. Haven't really watched a ton of film on these quarterbacks, but he's coming off a torn ACL. And is that really a guy you're looking to, pick in the first round? I wouldn't think so. Obviously, you had some sort of an exception at a different position with David Ojabo and the Baltimore Ravens. I believe it was last year. So there's that. But a couple of quarterbacks in this draft: Will Levis, Anthony Richardson, C.J. Stroud, Bryce Young. Stroud and Young are going to go within the top 5, top 10 definitely. Anthony Richardson probably within the top 15, top 20. He could fall to us, but I'm not really holding out any hopes. I'm not really thinking that way. And then Will Levis probably top 20. And then you got guys like Jake Hayner, Hendon Hooker. There's a couple other guys on there. So it's not really a rich quarterback draft class, probably like it would be in 24. But there's a couple of things you have to keep in mind. Is two things, at least on the top of my mind, is that the Giants would take an immediate regression drafting a rookie quarterback, because that quarterback is going to make a ton of mistakes. They're going to, throw a lot of interceptions, miss a lot of throws, turnovers. That's what rookie quarterbacks do in their first year. It's not necessarily foreign to anybody, unless you're Davis Mills. Davis Mills is mid all the way. But so you have to keep that in mind. The Giants would take a regression. Another thing that you could probably plug into that one is this starts the clock on the more pressure being put on Joe Schoen and Brian Daboll. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say, they should be fired, this, and the other thing, whatever, because we don't know what's going to happen down the line. But they now pick their own guy where, if you stick with Daniel Jones, yes, there's a risk, and it goes on your resume because you re-signed him and you picked him out. You didn't trade him, even though you didn't pick up the fifth-year option, because he was drafted by a different regime. If you select a quarterback this year, you select him, your regime, so now your asses are on the line if this guy doesn't work out. Now, also, you match it up with that. Few years down the line, if you do re-sign the quarterback, obviously, the market's going to go up, but at the same time, the cap's going to go up. Also, if you're looking at this year, it's going to take draft assets to move up for that quarterback. If you want to move into the top 10, top 15, they're probably going to want a first-round pick next year, in addition to maybe a fourth-rounder, maybe a second-rounder as well. Just look at the Giants trade with the Chicago Bears. A lot of people deem it as very good. Obviously, Kadarius Toney is in there, so people have their thoughts about that. But drafting a QB definitely has its positive impact, also has negative ramifications. These are risks either way. I just want to point that out. Even though I'm a middle of the argument guy with Daniel Jones, I'm pointing out both sides, kind of like a lot of other channels should be doing. I don't tell them how to do content, but yes, listen, if you want both sides of the argument, you're going to come here for it, and all that sort of stuff. But number 3 is draft a quarterback. That also means you're a few years away from winning. Number 4, stick with Tyrod Taylor. This is an option that I would least prefer because, yes, the Giants would be not very good. Tyrod Taylor could lift them to a playoff appearance. The Giants would have to hit on a lot of draft picks and some free agents for that to happen. But the ceiling with Tyrod Taylor as a quarterback, probably about 7 wins, 8 wins, 9 at best. And I might be even stretching it there. But sticking with Tyrod Taylor means one thing, and that's your quarterback search is going to be in 24, not 23. And you're kind of indicating to Giant fans, hey, listen, obviously our process is going to take longer, which means we won't have a competitive team in terms of 9, 10 wins contending team, probably about till about 2025, 2026. And that's not really what Giant fans want to hear after all these years of losing, plus 2022 being a success in some ways. So there is that. I know patience is a virtue in some different things, but sticking with Tyrod Taylor kind of means you're giving up on the season a little bit. You're giving up on 2023 as a whole, and you're kind of looking towards the future as 24. And I understand, listen, the process, all these sort of different things. And they kind of did a similar thing where they actually had Tyrod in 2017, 2018. They drafted Josh Allen. But the Giants, actually, kind of would have to be the same scenario because Buffalo traded up for Allen, and the Giants would have to trade up for a quarterback. But in this scenario only, where you stick with Tyrod Taylor, drafting a QB in 24, where the Giants would be more in a position, I think there's more of a quarterback-rich class, Caleb Williams, KJ Jefferson, a couple other guys coming out, and then just moving forward with the market QBs in 24. They don't have to draft a quarterback, but they could also give up assets for a quarterback in 24. I don't know what free agents are going to be out there. I don't know who's going to request a trade, this, that, and the other thing. That's 2.5 years down the line. Actually, no, it's more like 1 year down the line. But that's still a season and then free agency down the line. So that's a path down the line. I know I'm saying down the line a lot, but that's kicking the can down the road of winning. And you just wonder, what is the level of Giants fan patience if they go that route? Basically give up on 23, move to get a QB in 24, whether that be a quarterback in the draft or free agency. I don't know, but those two, drafting a QB this year or sticking with Tyrod Taylor and drafting a QB in 24, getting a QB in 24, still means you're a few years away. So just going to headline it out before we end the video. Immediate winning status, franchise tag, or trading/signing a market quarterback, someone who's on the market, free agent, or a few years away, you draft a quarterback this year, you trade up all your assets to get one, and then sticking with Tyrod Taylor this year and the next year going out and drafting a QB in 24. Like, comment, subscribe, do all the good stuff. Turn on post notifications so you know when a live stream pops your drops. Appreciate y'all coming back. Tell me what route in the comments you prefer and why. I'd like to know. Peace out, guys. See you later. Stay cool.